A brutal dawn bled across the horizon of Xanthi 9, the twin suns rising in a blaze of auburn fire that set the shifting dunes aglow. The planet's surface, a roiling sea of ochre and crimson sand, seemed alive, rippling under fierce winds that howled like feral beasts. In the midst of this tumult stood the damaged hull of the Vespera, its once sleek alloy hull scarred by the sudden electromagnetic storm that had lashed the expedition 3 hours before. Dr. Saren Yal squinted against the glare as she pried open the hovercraft's fuel port. Sparks danced across her gauntlet fingertips. The core was fried irreparable out here. Around her, the other 4 members of their team moved like ghosts. Engineer Cade Varun checked the life support lines. Botanist Nia Maru cradled a scorched sample tray of local flora. Pilot Zhonglei peered across the flats for any sign of rescue. And at their center stood Mira, 12 years old, and already an enigma. Mira's parents had been the first researchers, stranded on Xanthi 9 5 seasons ago, and though they'd never returned, their daughter persisted, herself a living testament to the planet's cruelty and wonder. She wore a patched exploration suit 2 sizes too big, her raven hair streaked with orange dust. But her dark eyes, unnervingly bright, took it all in. The heat mirage horizon, the brittle husks of ancient dunes, the wrecked Vespera. A tremor pulsed through the sand as a distant roar shredded the morning calm. Zhang's hand tightened on her rifle staff. "It's coming," she hissed. The ground buckled in a slow wave, and from over the nearest crest emerged the apex predator. It strode forward on 6 spindly legs, each joint bristling with a serrated carapace. Its elongated head, capped by a ridge of bioluminescent nodules, scanned the team with cold precision. 2 crescent-shaped mandibles clicked open and closed, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth that glinted in the rising sun. Cade's voice caught in his throat. "Everyone, form up." But Saren shook her head. "No sudden moves. Let's see what it does." As the predator paused 50 meters away, the air quivered with tension. Its multifaceted eyes, like pools of obsidian, focused on each human in turn, analyzing motion, heat, and chemical signature. Pilot Zhang swallowed. "If it follows protocol, we're all prey." Naya's fingers trembled around her sample tray. "You can't hunt everything that moves," she whispered as if to herself. Mira took a single step backward, then sat down on the hot sand, cross-legged, and closed her eyes. The others froze. In that moment, time slowed. The predator's head tilted, a mechanical curiosity in its posture. "Don't," Nia began, but Saren placed a calm hand on her shoulder. Mira breathed steadily. Her pulse slowed, her chest rising and falling with deliberate ease. The whispers of wind, the groan of stressed metal, even the distant echo of the storm's aftershocks, all receded into a singular humming silence. The predator shifted its weight, chitin plates rasping. It lowered its head until its mandibles were level with Mira's outstretched palm, still empty. For a heartbeat, it remained motionless. Then it produced a small object, no larger than a fist, glowing with a pale internal light. A fruit, by shape, smooth, translucent, and pulsing like a heartbeat. It placed the orb gently on the sand before Mira, then stepped back, its elongated body dissolving into the haze of sand and heat. Mira opened her eyes, calm and curious. She reached out, touched the fruit's surface, and turned to her teammates. "It wants us to have it," Pilot Zhang exhaled. It gave us a gift." Saren knelt beside Mira, voice barely more than a murmur. "What did you feel?" "Nothing, but stillness," Mira replied. Her hand hovered over the fruit as if it might vanish. "No fear, no need to run, just wait." And it responded. Nia picked up the fruit on gloved hands, marveling at the soft glow that rippled through its ridges. Botanical mimicry? Some kind of symbiotic offering? Before Saren could respond, Mira split the orb. The interior glowed brighter. Seeds. Or pulp, she wasn't sure. She handed half to Nia and half to Zhang. Each took a cautious bite, eyes widening at the taste. Sweet, cool, with a faint tang of minerals, like tasting the core of a dying star distilled into flesh. The shifting sand settled as the team huddled together, each chewing silently, the gravity of the moment sinking in. In the vast emptiness of an alien world that killed first and questioned never, a child's stillness had rewritten the law of the hunt. As they rose to inspect the wreck once more, Saren whispered to Mira, "You changed everything." Mira only smiled, the embers of dawn reflecting in her eyes. Around them, the dunes pulsed in the distance, alive with unseen watchers. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the apex predator waited, no longer a faceless threat, but a silent sentinel, bound by the unspoken language of motion and of stillness. Night fell like a velvet shroud across the dunes of Xanthi 9, and under the twin moon's pallid glow, the camp took on an otherworldly calm. The Vespera's salvaged heat lamps cast long shadows over the half-buried wreckage, and the team huddled around a low table of stacked crates, their faces lit by the soft bioluminescence of the predator's fruit. Dr. Saren Yal ran her fingers over the fruit's cool surface, eyes narrowed in fascination. If this is truly a peace offering, it suggests an advanced instinct, perhaps even rudimentary sentience. Nia, catalog every chemical signature. We need to know how it triggers the predator's behavior. Botanist Nia Maru nodded, carefully, slicing a wafer-thin cross-section to place under her portable spectrometer. It's unlike anything in our databanks, proteins that mimic mycotoxins, but calibrated to soothe rather than harm. And these pigments? She adjusted her goggles. They shift spectrum when exposed to heat or pressure. It's a multi-stage deterrent and enticement all in one. Cade Varun, the engineer, tapped at a holographic display. I've rigged the drone for zero vibration flight. No rotor hum, no exhaust plumes, just pure gliding. If we send it out, motionless, maybe the predator will approach again and we can record its response. Pilot Zhonglei leaned back against the wreck's battered hull, arms crossed. Are we sure we aren't baiting a trap? I mean, it brought us food once, but what if it's studying us, mapping our weaknesses? Mira looked up from where she'd been meditating, legs crossed on the sand. Her voice was calm, almost distant. It doesn't hunt still things. It observes, then offers. It's curious, not cruel. Saren listened to Mira, watching the girl's unwavering poise. Show us, she said softly. Mira gestured at the lamp's glow drifting across the sand. When anything moves, the predator locks on. But if you become part of the stillness, if you become as silent as the air, it sees you as kin, or at least not as prey. The team arranged themselves around the drone launch pad. The craft hovered, invisible in the lantern light, its blades, cloaked by Cade's invention, its engines tuned to whisper. Saren keyed the cameras, then settled into a meditative squat beside Mira. Nia and Cade followed, and even Zhong, reluctantly, sat, breathing slowly. For 10 heartbeats, there was nothing but soft wind. Then from the ridge to the east a shape emerged, a dark silhouette against moonlit dunes. The predator approached with deliberate steps, each footfall whisper quiet in the sand. It paused 10 meters out, head low, nodules along its crest pulsing, in sequence, white, blue, then green. The drone remained motionless, sensors recording thermal, electromagnetic, and sonic data. The predator's multifaceted eyes scanned the hovering apparatus, then shifted to the humans. No mandibles clicked, no claws flexed. Patient stillness. After a silent eternity, the creature strode forward and pressed its ridge against the drone's frame. A soft crackle of static, then a gentle vibration. The drone tipped forward, planting a single luminescent seedling at its feet before gliding back to its launch point. The team exhaled in unison. Cade retrieved the seedling, bundled in, a glass sheath. It's like a calling card, he murmured, a way of saying, I accept you as still life, and here is a token of peace. That night, in the hush between shifts, Saren shared her fears with Naya, beside the bioluminescent fruit. If the seedling thrives, it could transform Xanthi 9's ecology, but if we uproot it for study, Nia laid a steady hand on her shoulder. We won't. We'll cultivate them in situ. Respect the predator's gift. As the first watches fell into fitful sleep, Mira remained awake, gazing at the dunes. She sensed movement, an almost imperceptible stirring beyond the camp's perimeter. Rising silently, she followed the sound. A line of glowing seedlings, laid like a breadcrumb trail across the sand, leading toward a narrow canyon labyrinth. She alerted Zhang, who woke Saren and Nia. Flashlights cut cones of light in the blackness as the group followed the trail. Each seedling glowed brighter as they drew near, illuminating ancient petroglyphs etched into the canyon walls. Spirals, concentric rings, and figures that eerily resembled the predator itself. Saren's voice dropped to a whisper. This isn't just instinct. It's culture, a ritual. We've stumbled into their sacred ground. The canyon's mouth yawned before them, and from its depths came the predator's low, resonant call, a sound that thrummed in the bones. It was an invitation. Mira stepped forward, hand outstretched. We come in stillness, she said, voice unwavering. We honor your gifts. The predator's bioluminescent crest flared in a spectrum of welcome, bathing the petroglyphs and the humans in shifting light. And in that moment, the boundary between hunter and hunted dissolved, replaced by a fragile bridge of understanding built on the language of stillness. As they returned to camp, Saren carried a single seedling, its glass sheath now filled with nutrient gel. We'll learn your ways, she whispered, and in time teach others to sit still. Mira smiled up at the crimson moons. Somewhere, in the silver dunes, the apex predator watched and waited for the day when stillness would be spoken by all who set foot on Xanthi 9. The day of departure dawned gray and brittle, the twin suns veiled behind high cirrus clouds that muted their glare. The crew moved with a unity born of necessity, each member rehearsing Mira's stillness ritual as they packed the last of the supplies into the reinforced crates. The hovercraft's cargo bay yawed open like a hungry maw, but before they climbed in, Saren Yal called them together in a tight circle. Remember, she said, voice low. Any sudden motion will undo all the peace we've forged. We step as one. We breathe as one. We do not waver. Nia Maru's hands hovered over the seedlings they'd carefully cultivated in nutrient sacks, as though the slightest tremor might damage their fragile roots. Cade Varun checked the hovercraft's exterior seals for the 100th time, loosening his grip on the tools when Mira laid a gentle hand on his shoulder. Even pilot Zhang Lei, ever the skeptic, nodded and closed her eyes, centering herself. They mounted the hovercraft in silence. As the engines hummed to life, Cade activated the zero vibration drive, and the craft glided forward without a shudder, its repulsor lift fields barely stirring the sand beneath. The dunes stretched before them like a living ocean, and for every dune crest they passed, they held their breath, waiting. Midday heat rippled across the plateau when a distant thunderclap of chitin against rock sent their hearts stuttering. There, advancing from a rocky outcrop, was a juvenile apex predator, leaner, faster, its crest nodules flickering in curiosity rather than warning. It stalked closer, rising to its full height as the hovercraft slowed to a crawl. Zhang's fingers twitched toward her weapon staff. Saren's hand shot out. No, she whispered. Do not break stillness. Mira pressed her palm against the repulsor lift's side panel. The young predator halted 2 meters away, nostrils flaring in the dusty air. It studied the humans, each perfectly motionless, and then, with a swift, fluid motion, it dropped a cluster of glowing seed pods at their feet. The pods pulsed like captive stars, their light illuminating the predator's gleaming mandibles before it vanished behind a ridge. Podlings, Nia breathed, scooping them up. These are the next phase. Genetically primed to sprout in Xanthi 9's harsh soil. The hovercraft crested the final dune, and below lay the resupply outpost, a cluster of geodesic domes and solar arrays, dwarfed by the vast alien desert. But as they descended, the craft's sensors crackled a warning. Multiple heat signatures radiating across the flats, fast-moving, converging. Additional predators, Cade murmured, voice tense. They've surrounded us. Pilot Jong banked. The hovercraft to hover station, rotors silent. 5 apex silhouettes moved with uncanny coordination, closing the net. The team froze, hearts pounding. Not out of fear, but in disciplined stillness. Minutes stretched like hours. Then, one predator stepped forward, nodule crest flaring in turquoise. It extended a sinewy limb and placed a single seed pod on the sand between the craft's skids. As if on cue, the others dropped theirs in perfect formation, creating a circle of luminescent offerings around the hovercraft. Saren exhaled. They're honoring our passage. At that moment, the outpost's automated resupply pod descended, its landing thrusters kicking up a gentle sandstorm. The walls of seed pods glowed, and the predators, their purpose fulfilled, slipped back into the dunes without a sound. The hovercraft touched down amid the outpost's welcoming lights. Cargo doors opened and resupply drones flew forward, meals, water, and fresh equipment, oblivious to the alien choreography that had just unfolded. As the team unloaded boxes, Mira knelt amidst the scattered seed pods, gently pressing them into the soft soil near the outpost's greenhouse. Each pod, she said, is a promise. Motion tells them we're alive. Stillness tells them we're friends. Saren stood beside her daughter's silent vigil, watching the glowing seeds nestle into the earth. Today, she whispered, we learned that sometimes the greatest strength lies in doing nothing at all. Above them, the dunes shifted in the heat haze, carrying away the footprints of hunter and hunted alike, leaving only the soft glow of trust, rooted in unwavering stillness. Months later, the orbital arc Astraeus drifted silently above Xanthi 9, its gleaming hull reflecting the planet's twin suns like distant beacons. From observation decks and holographic displays, scientists and diplomats alike watched the crimson dunes swirl below, now dotted with pale green shoots that pulsed at dusk with a soft phosphorescent glow. Dr. Saren Yal stood before the Galactic Council's remote session, her voice steady as she presented live feeds of glass-topped greenhouses, rows of the apex predator's seedlings flourishing under controlled conditions. What began as a single fruit gift has yielded an entire ecosystem, she explained. These plants demonstrate remarkable resilience. They detoxify the soil of harmful electrosand compounds and secrete nutrients that benefit native microbes. Council members murmured in astonishment. Ambassador Callis of Orion Prime leaned forward. You propose we preserve Xanthi 9 as a sanctuary to study this symbiosis in situ? Saren nodded. Yes, and to share the language of stillness, an ecological protocol that transcends technology. Across the chamber, a hologram of Mira flickered to life. Clad in the ceremonial white robes of an envoy, she spoke with the composure of someone far beyond her 13 cycles. Motion on Xanthi 9 is not merely physical, it's the heartbeat of trust, she said. When we step carefully, breathe deeply, and hold still, we honor the planet's apex sentinels. In return, they guard us. The Council's chief ecologist, Dr. Rhiannon Voss, raised concerns. With increased traffic, research teams, perhaps even tourists, how do we prevent destabilizing the predator's behavior? Will they come to view all still life as ambassadors? Saren smiled. That's why we've trained our crews in stillness meditation. We'll establish still zones around critical habitats, areas where any motion triggers automated alerts and a temporary cease operation protocol. Meanwhile, aboard the Astraeus, Mira wandered the botanical pavilion, fingertips tracing the veins of a bioluminescent leaf. Engineer Cade Varun joined her, holding a small data pad. Growth rates exceed our models by 30%, he said. It's like they've unlocked a new photosynthetic pathway. Mira glanced down at a seed pod nestled in the soil. They're teaching us new ways to live. Back on Xanthi 9's surface, the resupply domes had been transformed into research pods. Botanists and xenobiologists in stillness gear collected field data, while reconnaissance drones modified for silent glide mapped the expanding green corridors. Local predators, juveniles and elders alike, patrolled the borders, their nodules glowing in territorial patterns that human linguists now decode as chapters of an unwritten saga. As the first monsoon season rains began, the seedlings burst into full bloom. Towering stalks crowned with lantern-like blossoms that exhaled gentle plumes of iridescent spores. Each night, the dunes glowed like a cathedral of stars fallen to Earth, a testament to cooperation born of quiet resolve. In the council chamber's final vote, delegates unanimously ratified the Stillness Accords, designating Xanthi 9 as a living laboratory and protected sanctuary. Cheers echoed across the Astraeus' comm deck. Saren embraced Mira, pride softening her exhausted features. "You changed history," she whispered. Mira shook her head, eyes shining. "We learned history from them." Below, across the dunes, the apex predator watched the unfolding green forest from atop a sandstone ridge. It raised its crest in a slow arc, the closest thing to a salute. And as the first human-trained envoys descended to the sands, the predators closed ranks around them, guardians of a world remade by the simple power of stillness. In that hush between heartbeat and breath, two species, hunter and human, found their future intertwined in the silent language of trust.